Okay, greetings YouTube and Rumble, lock and load ninjas, all that stuff. Today, in the first of what will turn out to be 3 videos, I think. Excuse my voice, I'm sort of having a busy throat all day. We're going to talk about the Taran Tactical Innovations Combat Carry Glock 26. That's sort of an involved conversation. So first we're going to go by the tail of the tape. Now, right here that you can't see, I have a cheat sheet right here in front of me. Just to begin with, just to give you a quick broad overview. So, it has the combat carry slide cut, right? Front serrations in the front and back, with ion bond coating, which is very handsome, sort of reflective. It has a bronze barrel. Let's see. There you go. Bronze barrel. I didn't get the Optic cut for this because I think at certain sizes, I don't know. This has the carry trigger job, which that's pretty crisp. Fiber optic front sight. You have the laser engraved combat carry and TTI logo. That's pretty cool. Your choice of custom stipple work. I left that to them to make that decision. Carry magwell, which is not available on the subcompact model, so you won't get that with the Glock 26. We'll talk about why I asked for a Glock 26. It has a carbon fiber striker plate right here. And you get 2 base pads at the base of your gun. Now that's the tail of the tape when you're setting up your order and everything else. That's what you get to go by. That wasn't enough information for me. So I contacted them. So like I told you just a second ago, while I know how well these guns are going to perform, I don't understand why. And I've had a few other things that I've had a few other guns that have come across my path, and I prefer Taran Tactical to it. Joining me now to give me some explanations on what it is they do and why they do it with some of these guns is JR Guerra. He's a project manager there. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. I got, for a gun guy, getting a care package from Taran Tactical Innovations with 3 guns is sort of like Christmas in February.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I just wanted to do a deep dive on these, and first deep dive I want to do is on the combat carry. Now this is in a Glock 26. I actually shoot the Glock 26 very well. I haven't shot any of these yet. I have shot. I think the one that I have shot is one of the JW guns that he did in a Glock 45. But the combat carry, what designates this a combat carry at Taran Tactical Innovation? What about this trim package makes it that?
Well, I don't have a 26 in front of me, but I do have a 43X, and the work that we do on them is pretty identical, actually. So obviously we do our slide cuts. So we cut in here for the pockets. We add front slide serrations, and then we get a little aggressive with the serrations in the back as well. So it not only lightens up the slide a little bit to help with some functionality there, but it makes it easier to rack on the front and in the rear as well. So that's what we do on the slide. Obviously, we recoat everything. The lasering is for aesthetics, obviously. On this one, it actually has our fiber optic front sight and our plain black rear. So our regular sights will also fit on the slimline guns, which is actually kind of cool. Obviously, they fit perfectly well on the Glock 26. Internally, we don't do a ton internally because it's a carry gun, but we all know that the stock triggers from Glock are less than desirable. So we put our connector in there. We changed the trigger return spring and then the safety plunger spring, and that's it. So we leave the striker spring alone. And then we do some polishing on the parts, and that brings the pull weight down usually by a couple of pounds. and doesn't mess with any of the reliability or safety functions or any of that. We usually leave the guide rod alone unless someone wants, like a tungsten guide rod, but we usually just kind of leave that alone. We want that spring pressure to be pretty close to stock, if not stock. So that way when you're shooting, really spicy rounds through it, it really helps.
One thing I noticed, this
go ahead.
Comet cut.
That
I didn't know there was that much material that you guys could cut it down and make it stand out that well.
Yeah, that's on the Gen 3s. This is a Gen 5, obviously, so we don't do that, but we call that the scallop cut. And what that does is it just, removes some of that out of the way so that way your thumb can get in there on the mag release a lot easier. We highly recommend it on all of our Gen 3s. And while this is not a carry gun, it shows, exactly what we're doing there on the same thing. So we do it on all of our Gen 3s, unless someone doesn't want it for some reason. But even on carry guns, it's not going to make that magazine release protrude any more than it already does. Like I said, it just makes it a lot easier to get your thumb in there. So that's a nice feature. I'm glad you brought that up. We also have the contact patches here. If yours is on both sides or on one side where the thumb is, so that way you can kind of have that as like a reference point for your grip. Most people like to kind of lock the grip out, if you will. That's how I shoot. So it's a nice just kind of like subconscious reference of like, hey, like that's where my thumb's supposed to go, which is kind of nice. We do grip reductions as well. We don't get super crazy with it, but just enough to get your paws around it a little easier. Most everyone likes the grip reductions, even if they have large size hands. But it helps just get a purchase on the gun. We usually do a single undercut, which I'm sure yours has, little contact patch underneath, so that way when you're gripping the gun, your finger doesn't slide around underneath. And then obviously our hand stipple job. We have well over a dozen stipplers here, and every single gun that we do, it's done by hand.
So that's a combat carry.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Combat carry package. Like I said, just a few internals that we put in there, makes that trigger break just a little more crisp. Reset is about the same, maybe just a hair shorter than it normally is. But yeah, it brings down that pull weight, takes out some of that grittiness on the pre-travel, that you might be used to, on a stock Glock. And again, the break it's just so much nicer. It gets down to about 3.5 to 4 pounds when we do it this way. So nothing, super crazy, but a lot better than somewhere between 6 to sometimes 8 pounds that comes on, that comes with the stock Glocks. Obviously we do the coating on the barrel as well. Not just for aesthetics, the barrels tend to hold up a little nicer externally, when you do that kind of like ion bonded coating. And yeah, we prefer the stock barrels for now. We are eventually machining our own barrels, but we haven't gotten that far in the process yet. So right now, stock barrels, we're machining the stock slides as well.
So that's well and good and everything else. But now the big issue, and it's not really an issue because I've shot a Taran Tactical custom gun before. How is this going to shoot? Now, and one thing I want you to understand, I've done a few reviews of other guns versus the Glock 26. And amongst the Glocks that are out there, the most consequential for me has been this one because I shoot it well. Now, I still believe that a Glock out of the box can be bested by the CZ P10S, for example. Out of the box, fresh off the boat. I think that is going to be the story, the tale of the tape. However, if you get a Glock that has been modified, yes, I'm sucking a cough drop. If you get a Glock that's been modified and it to this level, now you're talking. So let's take this gentleman to the range, shall we? everybody's looking for a smaller gun. Everybody's looking for a lighter gun. Now, the thing with the compact Glock, or with any of the Glocks, when you send them to a custom house like Taran Tactical Innovations, they're going to come back lighter. This one, not so much so, just because there's so little to deal with in the first place. They haven't scalloped out the slide or anything that would take any real weight off of it. And you don't want it to be too light, I don't think. But in terms of carryability, even with a +2 on the end of this, this is a very easily carried gun. I know that the Glock 19 is the perfect gun for everybody. So it's a perfect gun for everybody because it's small enough to hide and big enough to fight with. But this right here shoots as good as a Glock 19. Even a Taran Tactical Glock 19, this will shoot as good. Unless it was a copperhead, and that's for another video. And it takes the entire ecosystem of every Glock 9mm mag known that is a double stack. So I could run around with one of the 33 rounders on the bottom of it. I'd probably look sort of ridiculous, but I could do it. I don't remember which article it was. Masada Ayub did a study, or he did a comparison, I guess. He didn't do a study. He did a comparison, and in the comparison, he shot this versus a Glock 34. And there was no, at the distances he was shooting, there was no discernible difference in accuracy. Easier to hide than a Glock 34. 12 round capacity in the way I carry it anyway. But I could go 15, I could go 17, I could go 27, I could go 21, I could go 33. It doesn't matter. They have a magazine to fit this and it will work. And that's why a Glock 26, that's why if I'm looking for a small cover gun or a small undercover gun, a concealable gun, this is it. This is going to be the one. Because it shoots great. It's just a great gun all around. I'm very pleased. Because I'm also very fickle. You guys know that. And sooner or later, there'll be this year, Staccato CS is going to get here. And then what? Then you'll see a Staccato CS versus the Taran Tactical Combat Carry Glock 26. That's coming soon. In any event, thank you, Taran Tactical. They're a new sponsor of the show. They sent these to me. Yes, this is part of my deal. So, yes, I get to keep them. And I will keep them, and I will carry them. And I have solved a short-term issue for me. Yes, I have. So, if you like this kind of content, and I hope you do me one favor if you'd be so kind. I would love it if you'd give me, here, let me lay this down, thumbs up. Maybe think about subscribing. I'd appreciate that as well. I got a couple more Taran Tactical guns to bring you, and then we're going to start talking about some basics and some practical guns, and move on from there. And wow, that's a lot of work coming up. I better get to it. I'm out of here.